I'm Dr. Jill Windy from Tales from the Road. I'm a licensed veterinarian, but I may not be your pet's veterinarian. The information on our show is for your general use and should never act as a diagnosis. Visit your veterinarian for any specific health issues your pet might have.
Hi, welcome back to Tales from the Road. We've got Gunner the Wonder Dog here,
Right.
our little buddy, to help us demonstrate some nursing skills. And one of the first things what's the first thing you're going to start with here?
Well, actually, the first thing I'm going to start with does not involve Gunner per se. Probably the biggest challenge that we have with when I have to send my clients home with instructions on how to take care of their pets is pilling the cat.
Pilling the cat.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
There used to be a story about belling the cat,
Yeah.
putting a bell on the cat.
Yeah,
and
no.
all the mice had this great idea to put a bell on the cat, but then it came down to who's going to do it? Nobody wanted to do
right.
it. Right. Yeah. So who will pill the cat?
Yes.
Okay. So
And
tell
yeah.
us about that.
So yeah, well, actually, that brings up a good point. You need to have a designated person pilling the cat because you don't want to miss doses or double up on a dose thinking, somebody did it,
okay.
somebody didn't do it, whatever. But cats are a little challenging because they tend to have a little more armament than the dogs do as far as resisting what you would like to do with them. The biggest thing as far as if we have to give the cats pills, and we'll go ahead and show you on Gunner, even though you're not a cat. So what you'll do is you're going to go ahead and hold his head in one hand like this. It's a big cat. And then you're going to rip right down. Good
There you
job. So typically what I will do is hold the pill usually in my middle finger and thumb. And then that way I can open the mouth with my index finger and thumb and open the mouth with your middle finger and right in you go. So you did great. Good job.
There you go.
Now, the trick is catching the cat a second time to do that. But one thing else you need to remember is that I don't know how many of you have ever tried to dry swallow a pill, but it's not fun, it tastes bad, and it's kind of hard to do sometimes. So I always recommend to have a little water chaser ready. So you can take your little oral syringe and it doesn't have to be much, just 1 or 2 mils, and cats even less. And just have that ready so that after you get that pill in there, you can give them a little water to swallow it with. And that's really important too because some medications, especially certain of our antibiotics, can be really harmful to the trachea if they are left in there.
Right.
you
If
stick 'em
they
in
don't
there.
go down real fast. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the trick for pilling the cat. Now, the really cool thing about medicating cats is we have a lot of options for most medications now.
Right.
So they may come in a liquid, which is sometimes easier, and we'll show you how to do that. We also have some compounding pharmacists, a lot of them throughout the country now, who will make medications like in a suspension or a specific capsule size or even transdermal gels that you basically put on a piece of bare skin and it goes across the skin, almost like the patch or something.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, dogs like things hidden in. They don't like it, but you like it.
Way
It's easy.
easier, yeah.
Makes it easier to hide it in other foods sometimes, as long as they
Yeah.
don't detect it.
Absolutely. So if you need to give your kid, furry kid that is, liquid medicine,
Right.
then you'll have it drawn up in your syringe. And let's go ahead and show him, Gunny. There's a great space that God made just for giving medications in dogs and cats right behind the canine tooth. Turn around here, Bubba. We'll show him. Right behind there. See that nice big open space right there? And that just fits an oral syringe perfectly. So you can stick that syringe right in that space, just like that. Now, you want to make sure that you're using appropriate sized boluses of medicine. So you're not trying to give like a whole teaspoon of medicine and all in one shot. You don't want to choke anybody. But they're very, very simple to do that way.
Now, is there a natural tendency to want to drink that up? Once it's in there, they're going to naturally want to swallow it more than spit it out. I mean, I'm talking about a dog.
Yeah. Some of them don't really like a lot of the human flavors a whole lot. Cats don't really like sweetie things and that kind of stuff. So if you're using a lot of the human medicines that cross over, they don't really like bubblegum flavor and that kind of stuff. So you just have to be careful with that.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yep. So we're going to go ahead and show some of the alternatives to having to just poke a guy down the hatch, and one of my very favorite things.
Here, and he knows what's coming.
He knows what's coming.
And there you go. Here, buddy.
Because I use him for his treats too. But Gunner takes a little medicine here because he's got some arthritis. So he's going to take his medicine here for the day. And we don't do a whole lot of, I know, bud. See how easy medicating your pet is? There you go.
But that's wrapped up in one of those
Yeah.
little treats, right?
Yeah, we don't, I don't do a whole lot of name dropping on the show.
Okay.
But one of my very favorite ways to give medications is a product called Pill Pockets. It's made by the same people that make greenies and that, but they're awesome. The dogs especially really love them. Most cats will take them too.
Right.
And they basically look like Play-Doh. I mean, you just pinch off a piece and wrap the pill in it.
But they're
and off you
meat
go.
flavored, or are they meat?
They're meat flavored.
Yeah,
and meat-
yeah.
yeah. And so but they work really great for medicating.
Very good. Very good. Gunner obviously has taken his medicine now.
That's right.
And he's all set, right? There you
Way
go.
to go.
Okay. All right. What about what else do we need to follow up on here?
All right. Well, if you have a pet who's been injured, especially if they've got an open wound or something like that, you might need to bandage them. Or you might need to place a light bandage as part of your first aid before you get to the doctor. So there's a couple things I'm going to show you about bandaging that will make this more successful and also not get you some problems and complications later. A couple of the most common things that we'll use to bandage are going to be this little brown roll gauze. Yeah, it's not a treat.
It looks like a pill pocket, doesn't it? Yeah.
So we got that.
Okay.
And one of the more common veterinary bandaging materials, and you'll see this in human medicine as well, it's called vet wrap is what it's called. But you can see it's real stretchy like this, and it actually sticks to itself. And you have to be a little bit careful with the stretchiness because you can put it on too tight.
And then it cuts off
And then-
circulation
yeah.
and stuff like that, right?
Right. So what I usually do is unroll it all and kind of get it all off of itself. And then I just roll it back loosely onto the spool before I get ready to do the bandage.
Okay.
So we're going to bandage. And if anybody saw one of our previous shows, Gunner had a bandage on his foot because he tore a toenail. But basically, here, you lay down, you hang out with Dave. There we go.
There we go. Hey, buddy.
So we're going to bandage
Tummy
his foot.
scratching.
If you're bandaging a foot, you have to be very careful that you start at the toes and not up at the top because we don't want to run the risk of turning this into a mini tourniquet. Okay? So we're going to start down at the toes and you're just going to wrap it loosely. Try not to get a demo dog who's squirming.
Sometimes it is helpful to have somebody hold the animal, though.
It is.
Especially if the animal's really hurt. Gunner's not really hurt here,
Yeah.
but the idea being that sometimes it can prevent the animal from reacting and biting and things like that. There may be some
exactly.
need to do that as
Need
well.
to get a set of hands. That's why we
Yeah.
have tech assistants. They're lovely people. So you're going to see we're start down at the toes. We're wrapping this very loosely, not pulling on the tension, and we're basically just going up in a spiral up the leg. Now you can go back down the leg after you've started. That's okay. And what you'll notice here is we're trying to cover about half of the width of the bandage from where we just were so that it's overlapping. Okay? So that's bandaging a foot. Most of the wounds that we see are either on the foot or they are on the chest or side of the chest area.
Okay.
So stand on up here, Gun. So if you've got something, say, over here, well, it's going to be real tough. You can see how much narrower Gunner's waist is than his chest. So if you just try to stick a bandage around that, it's going to slide and just go right down like this. So we do what's called a cross your heart bandage. So say he's got his little wound over here. So we're bandaging this, and usually we'll use a Telfa pad or some sort of non-adhesive dressing first.
So you're going around
And
the
we're
leg now.
basically going to do a big figure 8, and it's going to go across both of his shoulders like this. And you'll do this, obviously several times around, but just to give you an idea. So those are probably two of the more common areas that you would need to bandage.
Now, if
you're
I'm
on
going to
the road.
bandage an animal, should I also be thinking about that I need to cut off hair or shave off hair?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. No. If we have a wound there, your veterinarian's going to, good boy, your veterinarian's going to be clipping the hair around there so that they can clean it and treat it. But you don't need to clip hair just to put on a bandage.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Okay.
So, and Gunner still has survived. He's still
Yes.
acting pretty good.
He's
Okay.
doing great. All right. Last thing I'll mention just briefly is the dreaded ear infection. If you've ever had to treat one of these in your pets, just remember dog and cat ear canals are not anything like people ear canals.
Okay.
Ours are very wide and they're very short and they angle down like this. Okay. Dog and cat ear canals are very long and narrow and they're shaped like an L. Okay, so you have this vertical part, and then there's a horizontal part, and then your eardrum's way down at the bottom of the horizontal part. So you can't like put in 2 little drops and expect that to do anything.
Okay.
Especially if you've got a lot of goo. So what we use to flush ears, the baby booger sucker, mentioned in segment 1.
Good old BBS.
That's right. This is a high volume flush, so you don't want to be using the the commercial ear washes for this type of flush because it's just you have to use too much of it. So we use a real nice combination of half water, half white vinegar, equal parts. Okay, and you're gonna basically suck that solution up into your bulb, and then you're going to squirt it. And we're going to do that, and you're going to squirt it down the canal, okay? What you're trying to do is get enough pressure for that to make the curve and bring it back up.
And then the the acidity in the vinegar helps to break up some of that material that's down in there?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Good.
So this is a good one, but big thing with this, do not suck the stuff out of your pet's ears.
Oh, don't go back and let it just naturally
it just
absorb
wants
and
to
come
run
out
out.
or whatever, let it run out.
And they'll shake their head, so it'll come out.
Yeah, they definitely will do that.
Yeah.
So maybe you put them someplace where shaking their heads is going to be okay. That's true.
Exactly.
All right. Well, great. Well, that's perfect. We'll be back with more first aid for your animal, nursing care for your pet when we come back on Tales from the Road. So stay with us. Got a question or a comment for Dr. Jill Windy? Get in touch at tails@rvnn.tv or leave a voicemail at 877-578-RVNN, extension 705. Hey, why not email a photo of you and your pet on the RV trail? We love pictures, and we might just use it in an upcoming episode. Follow RV Newsnet on Facebook and Twitter, and you can receive text messages to alert you when we're streaming live by texting RVNN to 72727. That way, you can join us live in the chat room, ask questions, and become part of the RV Newsnet family. Remember, any photos or other material submitted to us become the property of RV Newsnet and cannot be returned. Today's show is brought to you by Angie's List, where you'll find thousands of unbiased reports and reviews about service companies in your area. Whether you're looking for a roofer, plumber, house cleaner, dentist, or even a doctor, Angie's List members share their experiences with each other so that you can choose the service company that's right for your job. Companies can't pay to be on Angie's List, and the reviews come from people just like you who have had experience with the companies mentioned. To find out more, go to rvnn.tv and click on the Angie's List ad.